Gay rights is just one of a series of polarizing social issues leading now into what some say is a new culture war, or the revision of culture war. Just last week, a judge blocked key parts of Arizona's tough new immigration reform, and then there's the always ongoing battle over gun rights. I'm joined now by MSNBC political analyst Pat Buchanan and MSNBC contributor Karen Finney. Thanks for joining us. So I have to tell you, Karen and Pat, already people are reacting. We just teased that we were talking about this story, and you hit a hot button there. So Pat, what are we? Are we in a continued culture war, or is this a new one?
No, it's the same old culture war, but it's going to go on forever because it's rooted in deeply contrasting beliefs about morality and ethics, and then you add to that illegal immigration and gun rights. I mean, I'll tell you, Tamara, and I feel like Brer Rabbit in the briar patch, all these issues coming back, you know, and I think it's red hot. You add that to the Tea Party issues, which are economic and budget and deficit. I think you're going to have a blazing hot off-year election, and the conservatives and Republicans couldn't ask for a better hand of issues.
Well, that leads me to my next question, Pat, because some say that you've got Republicans and conservatives only feeding this fire because they need something to motivate a dismal base.
Well, the Republicans, quite frankly, didn't do this. It was a judge, I think it was a federal judge that knocked down the Arizona law, and a federal judge that knocked down the California law that was voted by 7 million Californians. He alone threw it out and said, you got to have homosexual marriage in California because I say so, and I found it in the 14th Amendment where nobody else found it. I mean, these are ideal issues, but
so Karen, are we back to folks saying these renegade judges are taking over?
Oh yeah, renegade judges reading the United States Constitution, protecting our rights. I mean, come on, Pat. It is not by coincidence that we're dealing with these issues. Let's be very clear what we're talking about here. These are issues that are our values. They really question our core values. There's so many similarities in the Proposition 8 case to the Loving case, in which the Supreme Court essentially ruled that interracial marriage is acceptable. Some of the same justifications are now being used against Proposition in the arguments against gay marriage. What Democrats need to do is to remind voters what this is really about and not get sidetracked by these, cultural issues that the GOP is going to try to gin up. Wait a second.
Karen, let me ask you though, is it about taking a stand? You have the president saying that he opposes same-sex marriage, but he opposes Prop 8.
But
is it about taking a stand?
But I think what the president, wait a second, Pat. I think very clearly what the president has said and what most Americans would say is he may disagree with same-sex marriage. At the same time, he understands that the Declaration of Independence guarantees life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the role of the Constitution is to protect those rights. It is for the courts to help protect our rights, Pat, and you know that.
Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Thomas Jefferson.
Our founding fathers, and your party now wants to rip it apart.
He believed that sodomy should be punished by castration.
Well,
that's
he also
Thomas
said that
Jefferson
people like me were property, Pat, and we know that's not true.
But you talk about black Americans, 70% of them voted for Proposition 8, the biggest number of any group in California.
Interracial marriage was a bad idea when it was passed, but when the decision came down from the Supreme Court, sometimes we look back and we realize we were wrong,
Yeah, but
Pat.
we got to ask ourselves whether we're governed by people and voters or judges, unelected judges anointed for life.
We're governed by the Constitution, and what the judge found in this case was that in the Constitution, separate is not equal, Pat.
How did nobody else see it?
Separate is not equal.
But hang on, Karen
How did nobody else see it?
Let me ask you both this. Karen and Pat, hang on, because you're both screaming, I'm going to get a headache. But Pat, let me ask you this, quite honestly. Maybe the passion that we're seeing from Karen, the passion that we're seeing from you, some of the language you just chose to use, and shows that maybe there will always be this war and always this divide. I'm not trying to look for a Disney happy ending on this, but the reality is just that you have to see where Americans stand and where they will choose to place their vote, because I could never bring you and Karen together on this issue, and quite honestly, a lot of people.
You're exactly right,
and nor does Karen want to be on your side with this issue.
But Tamron, these are rooted in deepest religious and cultural beliefs about right and wrong. They're in total conflict.
Well, I don't know if they're right and wrong, because you're always going to think you're right.
After clash. Well, sure.
And they can be born from ignorance, too.
I would just add to that I think part of what these issues do,
I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm saying on both sides, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that you are ignorant or people who agree with you. I'm saying that these things can be born from what you chose to use as right or wrong, but it also can be born from knowledge and ignorance.
Well, I also think, can I just, guys, I also think that part of what Pat hold on a second. Part of what I think we're talking about here is this challenges our deeply held beliefs, but it also challenges our faith and our belief in our Constitution, which says that birthright is there's a birthright of citizenship.
Right.
There is due process of law. There is equal protection under the law for every American, and that means that sometimes it's hard, and sometimes
it's hard for me to end this conversation because I know when we booked you both, I should have said let's play the whole half hour with these two, but we are out of time, and I respect.
Tell Ed Schultz he's too much of a blazing optimist. This is going to be a bad November.
Well, Ed Schultz is not far from me, and I will tell him that I think he heard you.